There was a time where we broke up when we were dating.
Man, I was out of there.
What happened?
Well,
he wasn't out of there. I put him out of there. But I don't want to sound like he was out of there.
I was like out of there. I'm not going like that. She's just crazy, man.
It wasn't because he said. I just want to make sure y'all are clear.
But I still say she was crazy, though.
She was crazy.
He did. He thought I was crazy. But I'll tell you what the situation was. So I just want women to know this too, because a lot of women don't necessarily know what things trigger them, or they may know, but I didn't understand who I was in my first marriage. So during that 14 years, I learned myself really well.
Good.
I never imagined my journey would inspire people all over the world.
Hello, my name is Nema and I'm from Zambia. So I love the Dear Future Wifey podcast.
For me to see people being so real, so honest, and so true about the real situations in life.
Hey, I'm Natalie from Belgium, and I would like to say thank you.
I value your content because it is Christ-centered.
You have set a standard in love.
Dear Future Wifey podcast has opened my understanding.
I highly recommend that everyone, whether you're single, you're married, you're divorced, you're widowed, everyone to go follow this podcast.
Continue with me as I discover, uncover, and recover love. I'm Titia Whitfield, and welcome to the Dear Future Wifey podcast.
What's up, lit family? This is your boy, Titia Whitfield. Welcome to the Dear Future Wifey podcast. Listen, I am so excited to have this couple in the studio today on the podcast. She is the founder of the amazing homeless organization, Where Are You Outreach. And she's also a residential and commercial interior designer.
And decorator.
I was about to say that.
Yeah.
Okay. She's a vocalist,
national recording artist.
She's a national recording artist, national touring recording artist. Sang with a lot of people that you've known, but we're not going to go. We're not going to name those people.
Kirk Franklin.
We're not going to name those people.
Okay. Background on Marvin Sapp.
Oh, okay. Marvin Sapp's, Fred Hammond, Kirk Franklin. Okay. All right. Anything else you like to add?
Go ahead.
Well, I was trying to go ahead, and I'm trying to introduce your husband.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's try that.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Now her husband is an amazing dude. I love this dude because I just watch how he loves his wife, and I'm so inspired. This guy is the founder of Owens Media Production. When Titia allows him to run his own business, he does an amazing job. And he's also the founder of an organization called Fortified Leaders, where they actually build leaders in today's generation. So without further ado, I want to introduce you to Titia and JWayne Owens.
Woohoo!
That's pretty cool.
Titia.
Yes.
Why can you just let me just introduce you?
Well, I thought you were leaving out some details.
But you didn't let me finish.
Yeah, but you weren't telling them who I was.
I was trying to, but you just interrupted me. Like,
you were limiting me.
I wasn't limiting you. I was trying to get to it.
Oh, it didn't sound like it.
Okay. All right. Well, as y'all can see, Titia is a handful, so I'm really interested in hearing.
Two hands.
Two hands. So, yes, straight from the guy who has to go to bed with her every
Two
night.
handfuls.
And wake up
Just one.
to her every night. My God. This is going to be really fun. Now, you watched the episodes before, haven't you?
I have.
As you know, Titia, I don't have to give you a disclaimer, but hey, just in case JWayne, in case you haven't watched the podcast, we keep it lit. We live intentionally and transparently, so we keep it lit.
Okay.
All right?
Let's do it.
So we're going to call this episode Second Time Around.
All right.
Y'all are doing something that's so amazing. I know you two being the Christians that you are, y'all both been married before, and that comes with a lot of stigma. And it's gotten a whole lot better in recent years, but during the time that you guys had your first divorce, that I know it came with a lot of brevity. And so I want to discuss that. So let's start with you, Jay. How long ago were you married before you got married to old Titia over here?
Well, let me start off by saying, first of all, congratulations to your show.
Oh, thank you so much. Appreciate you.
We definitely watched your show, and hopefully continue to go forward and have God behind you and push that thing on through, bro.
There it is. I appreciate that.
But to answer your question, I was married 20 years prior to.
20 years?
20 years prior to. And then I got the wake-up call that this is over.
Really?
Yeah. And then I moved to Dallas from Detroit. And the good thing that I experienced in my time in between meeting Titia was people. I'm just going to call them people.
You'll keep them general. People.
Yeah, just people, only because
Jonathan McReynolds.
Yeah,
people.
I was kind of going through a process of the divorce actually ending, and then God setting up for the future. And so coming from Detroit to Dallas, I only met one female. And that's been a blessing because my record's clean.
Who was that female that you met?
Yeah, who's the female?
So it was Titia.
Oh.
In 2013. So but to answer your question, it was tough. It was really tough because, you have 20 years here, then you have day one here.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So you're trying to figure out how to make this work without carrying so much of the baggage from the past and making this person. Yes. And it's absolutely impossible.
And you will actually fail trying to do that with a Titia, because I don't know nobody like this woman.
Yeah, it's definitely 3 strikes. Don't ever do that. So it was definitely an experience for me because she's a unique person, not an ordinary person. And from what I heard, you guys know more than I would know from her past, is that many have tried, but many have failed.
Oh, they failed.
Come on, somebody.
They failed miserably.
Come on, somebody.
So let me just be clear. Your first marriage lasted how long?
20 years. And
then how long after your divorce did it take for you to meet her?
4 years.
4 years. So you went through a 4-year process. Now, Titia, how long were you married the first time?
7 years.
You were married 7 years. And then how long between the divorce and meeting JWayne over here?
14 years.
14 years.
14 years.
So what was that like in those 14 years?
Well, in between the 14 years, there was a guy that I was engaged to prior to meeting JWayne, and we had been separated probably 3 years before I met JWayne. And the thing about that was, in that process of waiting, it's really hard because you're trying to figure out who is the person, if they come around again, that you're going to spend the rest of your life with. Because once you go through it and you have a divorce, you're no longer thinking any way out the second time. That was my thought process.
Yep.
If I ever do this again, ever do this again, I'm never coming out.
Yes.
So that person has to live up to a lot of expectations because the mindset is, I'm not doing this again. So it's got to be for real right. And so it's hard on the person that's coming in because they have to live up to that standard, and sometimes that's hard for them. And so my husband, he was willing, but it was a struggle. It was a struggle for him, yeah.
Why? What was the struggle?
Well, it was because, I had different thought processes of what I didn't want to deal with anymore, what I learned from my first marriage. And I was big on that, like paying attention to the wrongs and the rights in the first marriage. And so when I saw any type of sign whatsoever in our dating process, even, I was ready to run. So there were a few things that my husband had done where I was immediately out because it reminded me, or it showed me something that I didn't want to deal with again. So, but he hung in there, even though there was a time where we broke up when we were dating.
Man, I was out of there.
What happened?
Well, he wasn't out of there. I put him out of there. But I don't want to sound like he was out of there.
I was like out of there. I'm not going back there. She's just crazy, man.
It wasn't because he said. I just want to make sure y'all are clear.
But I still say she was crazy, though.
She was crazy.
He did. He thought I was crazy. But I'll tell you what the situation was. So I just want women to know this too, because a lot of women don't necessarily know what things trigger them, or they may know, but I didn't understand who I was in my first marriage. So during that 14 years, I learned myself really well.
Good.
I knew what I liked. I knew what I didn't like. I knew what I wanted. I knew what I didn't want to deal with.
Yes.
And so when JWayne and I were dating, one of the things he did not do was offer me gas money.
Gas.
He did not offer me gas money. And after I saw
gas, man.
After I saw
I'm
that
talking
was
about
consistent,
gas.
I said, I'm done with him.
Talking about gas.
Really?
I'm done. My parents.
Gas, man.
I went to my parents. I said, we're done. If he
You
comes
went and
over,
told your parents that y'all were done.
We're done.
Because
do
he didn't
not
offer
let
you.
him come back.
Yeah.
So I mean, so what happened? Were you like stranded? It didn't have gas. So
No.
It was the principle in which
Yeah, it was a principle.
Yeah, it was the principle.
He didn't offer me gas money. What is wrong with him?
So you were saying, hey, I'm about to get ready to go fill up my car, and he didn't say, oh, here's some gas money. Like, how'd the conversation?
He never offered.
Okay.
Period.
So let's go a little deeper.
Period.
So she was living in DeSoto.
Yeah.
I was living in Mansfield.
Okay.
So we were meeting.
So when
he lived in Oklahoma. I live in.
So
for people watching this in other countries or even other states, DeSoto and Mansfield is about 20 minutes away from each other.
More like 40 minutes.
Right. And brothers put gas in the car.
That's all I'm saying.
Put some gas in it. Just don't even worry about it. Just put some gas in it. You all right.
Just put some gas in there.
Trust me.
So did she ask you at any point to be like, hey, you just went straight on, he didn't meet that unmet expectation.
I'm done.
And I'm done.
Period. Well, he had come over to pick me up, he thought, and I had gone and sat in the car with him because I had come to the realization that after months of us spending time together, he had not offered me gas money. And the reason why, again, like I said, the distance was long, and then we were meeting up all the time. You know, like I would drive over to visit him, and I felt like as a single mother with 2 children, and him seeing that, I felt he should have offered. It wasn't about the money. It was about the offer. It was about him seeing the situation that I was in and feeling like he wanted to assist. Because for me, if he wasn't showing me those kinds of things, I didn't feel like he could take care of me.
Right.
That's how I felt.
And then, go ahead.
No. I was just going to say, and so it started with gas money. So I went out in the car and I was like, so after watching this process for a while now, I am seeing that this is coming to an end. I have enjoyed getting to know you. I mean, it was very straightforward. I was like, I've enjoyed getting to know you. You're a very nice person. However, you were not what I was looking for. I didn't really get into it at the time. I didn't say specifically what it was, and I'll get into that later on into the conversation, but I didn't feel led to tell him specifically about the gas at that point. I just wanted him to know the principal process. Of course, he didn't understand. I'm sure he was thinking something was wrong with me, but I was very adamant about what I had said. And so I remember getting out of the car, and I remember him, kind of saying, why are you doing this? This doesn't make sense, blah, blah, blah. And I went on into the house. And so days after that, he would try to call. He was trying to call that night or what have you. And then I remember telling my parents, if he calls, if he comes by, ignore him. He is not to come in. We're done with him.
They love me, man.
Yeah.
And my mama didn't understand it. She was like,
did you tell her because of gas money? And what did she say? What was her advice?
Everybody was just shaking their head. Everybody was just shaking their head. Nobody really had too much to say. I remember them both. They know how I am.
Yeah, so they know that if they told you
it's
something,
like,
they're going to just...
No sense of talking to her.
Right. Exactly.
Because
let it go.
She has made up her mind. If she's done with it, she's done. We got to move on. But they didn't understand.
It's like we was actually liking him.
Yeah,
For 5 minutes.
My mom was like, he was such a nice guy. Was.
Emphasis on was, mama. Emphasis on
because
was.
that's how I am. Like when I'm done.
You can just cut it straight off.
Yes. Yes.
So Jay, so what did you think about when she said that?
Well,
because she's not telling you why. She just said that she just doesn't feel like this.
I just thought it was crazy. I mean, it was just like, you know, for someone to have that much control over their emotions.
Yeah.
To say I'm done and don't look back. Literally, don't look back at all. I mean, do not answer the call. I mean, it's nothing, brother.
Really,
voice in the mail.
I was done.
And so it was just strange to me. And I was
so up to this point, everything was just perfect. Everything was great.
It wasn't perfect, but there were some issues. I think there was more stuff.
Some underlying issues.
And I knew what it was. I kind of knew what it was. I was just still trying to play the game.
Yeah.
And I had some friends in the D that I was hanging on to. Mm-hmm. And she knew that, but, you know, she was just being gracefully letting me go without saying, look, Joker, I know the real deal.
And I'm done.
Yeah. So that finally came to the top, and everything kind of came to life, and it made sense.
Yeah.
You know, and so in order for us to move in this relationship, there were some things I had to go look in the mirror. And,
that's good.
And that moment actually was the beginning of my healing process of me, because that night I actually went home in my apartment and looked in the mirror and asked the question, "Who are you?"
Good. Yes.
And then I got a lot of answers I didn't like about myself. Mm-hmm. And so I just broke down and started crying.
Yeah.
And that was in 2013. I want to say September, October. And it was just horrible, man. It was just bad. And so God knew what he was doing then for now, that in order for us to get here 7 years later, me being the man and the leader of the home, I had to get myself together. And so, you know, in our marriage, there's a verse we use was called, until a grain of wheat falls to the ground and dies, nothing lives. Mm. And so that was our scripture for our wedding. And I actually used that same, well, I guess God was using that. And that part I didn't even know then.
Yeah.
You know, 2013, I mean, I was just a joker.
Yeah.
I was a good joker.
A good joker?
I was just a good joker. But you know, her processes, I didn't understand it because I wasn't used to that. I wasn't used to one just kind of just cut me off. Like, you know, I'm JWayne Owens. You don't cut me, I cut you.
Yeah, exactly.
And I got cut. And I got cut bad.
And it hurt.
Why
did it hurt so bad? Was that ego or was that love being challenged?
In the mirror that night, I saw ego, I saw arrogance, I saw selfishness. I saw all these things that I was in denial of myself. And so, you know, that pain was so transparent that I had to really just back away. And at the time, I was with Fred Hammond, and so we was on tour. And, you know, on a tour, you have these bunks.
Yep.
And to me, I call them, you know, a silent casket.
Yep.
Because it's a curtain in you.
Yep.
And you got to deal with what's ever going on behind that curtain.
Yep.
And so as I'm riding down the road, dealing with this situation with Titia, like, you know, I'm having these little, you know, situations in my bunk. And it didn't feel good, man. But when the tour was over with, things began to get better. And I started making little small calls. Hey, and she go, hello. I said, it's China's birthday. Can I talk to China?
It didn't happen like that.
How did it happen?
It was a little more time
but
between there.
it was I'm talking about from September to December.
Oh, okay.
So, but I finally got in because of China's birthday, which is our daughter. I said, can I talk to China? Can I talk to China? Here, China. I was like, thank God for China.
Why would you let him talk to your daughter when you were done with him?
No. That's why I said it was a little bit before that set up to that, because what had happened was we had gone, it was almost a month and a half that I would not talk to him at all.
He would be calling you. Were you calling her during that time?
Man.
And you just wouldn't. Did he ever try to pop up at your house?
Several times. Yes, my parents.
Now, you know, every brother does a drive-by.
Yeah, we got to.
You got to do a drive-by to make sure there's something else.
He would bring gifts. He would come in with candles and flowers. Do not let him in this house.
Man, I bought my mother-in-law some beautiful flowers. Man. So I knew I had one ally in the house. I had one.
So answer this then, JWayne. Was all those attempts, was that driven by ego, or did you have this moment where you're like, I don't want to lose her because I love her?
Both. It was both. But also, I began to see the part of me I never knew existed, that I could go buy flowers or I could do these things, because it was always the opposite. It was always about me.
That's good.
And so you know, when I began to learn those things about myself through this process, again, God had to cut me in order for me to see me.
For him to open up a side of you that you didn't know existed.
Exactly.
And so you still playing hard.
Right.
He's bringing flowers and all that stuff. Why? Was that your past trauma?
No, I was trying to figure out why was he doing that. Didn't he hear I said I was done? No, I was serious. Like, I didn't understand why was he still doing this. I literally was saying it. Why is he still coming over here? I said I was done. But in actuality, there was time that went by, and during this time, there was some praying and some fasting that went on for me. And let me tell you what, he left this part out. He was calling, but not only was he calling, he was leaving prayers on my voicemail.
Hallelujah.
Yes.
He was leaving prayers on my voicemail. And I would be looking like, no, he's not trying to pray.
She was like, Jesus. Oh God.
I was like, is he trying to put the Lord on me?
Oh God.
He would be leaving sincere prayers on the phone. And so there was some time that had gone by. And I remember I started fasting and praying, not for him, but for me, just asking God, what did he want me to do? And I'm going to say in the last 30 days, within that period of time, because it was about a 30-day period that had gone by, that there was no conversation at all.
Wouldn't answer nothing. He would pop up at your house, but you wouldn't speak to him at the door.
I would run from him. If he pulled up and I was getting out, I would run in the house. I remember one of the times he came and I was like, oh no.
Because she was running from love.
She was running from love.
I was not running from no love.
She was.
I was running from a man that didn't provide gas money.
But he was providing all this other stuff afterwards.
That's the thing.
He learned.
Yes, he did. That's what I'm saying. But at this point, I was still like, no. And so in the fasting and praying, he was leaving those prayers on my voicemail, and I remember hearing from the Lord saying, this time answer. That's the only reason why I answered the phone. I heard the Lord clearly say, this time answer, because all the rest of the times he wasn't saying anything, and I was committed to my process. But when he told me to answer, he said, I'll never forget this. I said, hello, and he was like, it's you. I can't believe it's you. You answered. He was so shocked.
Press that clap button, because that's what you need about it.
God made a way. Yes, he did. He was fasting and praying, interceding for his future wife.
Yes,
and God had a breakthrough in the midst of the storm. He said, is it you? I'm reminded of
Exactly.
Is it you? Boy, let me tell you something. Is it you? That right there preach.
Yes, it is, doctor.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's good.
And that's what happened. And so when he heard me talking, he was so sincere. He said, I cannot believe you answered the phone. I just want you to know that I'm grateful. He started saying, I really don't even know what to say now, because I wasn't expecting you to answer.
Because at this time, he still don't know it's a gas money.
Yeah.
No.
But when she answered, we had just ended the tour with Fred and the Christmas play in Baltimore. And there was a moment, I never forget it, that I had to tie Fred Hammond's shoe. And God said, this is where you're supposed to be. And he said, if you stay here, I can take you anywhere.
In the humble position of servant.
Amen.
And let me tell you, and mind you, I had tied his shoe prior to it, but that was the day that it hit me, because all the things prior to that God had been working with me and on me. And so I just, Fred said, what's up, man? I said, I'm good, man. I couldn't explain to him because he would understand.
Yeah.
You know, but then it opened the floodgates for her. You know, so God was doing things in the atmosphere that we had no clue about to get us, again, 7 years later. You know what I mean? So it was just it's a lot of things that I've learned, that how God connects dots that we don't know He's connecting.
Oh my God. Like that about to have me shout right now, because when God says, I know the plans that I have for you, if God gave us the blueprint for our lives, we'll probably find a way to mess it up. But God will start strategically aligning you to meet this, for this to be an issue that comes up early on, for her to operate in her aloneness, to go seek healing and restoration and guidance through the Holy Spirit. And then you over here doing this. And then when he brings y'all back together, y'all have something dynamic. So from that breakup, how long did it take for y'all to get back together?
I'm going to say it was another 30 days. Within that next 30 days, he was doing the work.
Hold on. But the funny part is this. So we get back together, right? And so now Oak Cliff has this process in January, right? Where they do this consecration.
Yeah, consecration.
Whatever it's called, right? Yeah. So I'm new to all this.
Solemn assembly.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, cool, right? So we just get back together. Then I get a phone call. We can't talk for 14 days.
For solemn assembly?
Mm-hmm. And that was a personal... It was along with the solemn assembly, but I would hear clearly from the Lord on direction on what I was supposed to do. And I told him, I said, we are not to talk for 14 days. I cannot talk to you. And he was like, what?
I'll be like,
I'm like, what kind of God is that? That's going to tell you that we ain't talk forever.
And we ain't going to talk another 14 days.
You're going to get a bonus program. You get 14 more days.
14 more days. What is that?
Wow. Yeah, man.
Yeah, and it was very hard for him. Because he didn't understand. He thought I was trying to discipline him, but it wasn't that at all. I was spiritually, I wanted to be right. I wanted to do this different. I wanted to hear from the Lord in this situation. So whatever I believed I was supposed to do at that time, I was committed to that process. And so for me, during that 14 days, I just spent time in the Word, asking God about him, because again, I was done. So I wanted to make sure, I wanted to hear, okay, this is him. Keep hanging in there.
So early on, did you ever feel like this was the one?
I'm not going to say early on. I'm going to say the first night we went out, the Lord spoke to me in the car and said, take him seriously. That's all I heard. Take him seriously. And I went, okay. Because the first night we had gone out, on the way home, I'm a dancer in the car. So when the music is on, I'm just riding in the car, you know, and I'm doing this, and then I start doing this. And I was like, why am I crying? And then I heard the Lord say, take him seriously. It was like he was getting my attention through the tears, because I just started crying for no reason. I mean, because I was like, hey.
What song you listen to, you remember?
I don't even remember the song. All I knew was I was, oh. I mean, it went just like that.
What did you think when that happened?
Well, no, see, we had actually, it was our first date,
Yeah.
and we drove separate.
Yeah, we didn't ride together.
Okay.
Yeah, I was on my way home by myself. I didn't tell him that. But I was saying to myself, what in the world? Take him seriously. Like I just went into prayer from that point on. But that's why everything he was doing, I would respond to it, because it was like, okay, I'm taking this serious. He didn't offer gas money.
Yeah,
so I would respond to that. But again, looking back now, it was all a setup just to get us to the place we needed to be, because there were some things, like he said, not just for him, but for me also, we had to cut. We had to get rid of it, because we both have been through a lot. And I know I'm a lot. I'm what you call hashtag too much. Hashtag too much. And so for me, my thing was, he's got to be ready for me. Like, I've been through a lot, but I'm very vocal. And I had to learn how to submit to him again. Like, that was a desire for me. I didn't want to just be somebody's wife. I wanted to respect the man that I was married to. I wanted to honor the man.
Good.
But for me, what I was doing was sometimes assisting the Lord. And he would be like, no, I don't need you to do that.
Explain that. A lot of women may not know what that means. What you mean assisting the Lord?
Well, we're always putting our mouth on certain things instead of praying about it, telling them what they need to be doing or what, did you do this? Why haven't you done it? When are we, and it would get bad. It would get bad for me because there were times still I had areas of weakness where sometimes my emotions will overtake my needing to be quiet. But I'm still learning that. And I confess it. And I allow my husband to tell me. I request this on a regular basis. Tell me what's wrong. I am not a person that doesn't want you to not tell me what's wrong. Yeah. I need to hear it. I want to change. Yes. I want to be better. But if you don't give me that, in my mind, I'm perfect. Not that I am, but if you don't say that if you don't tell me otherwise, I don't know that something is hurting you or offending you or you don't like it. If you don't give me a reaction, if I don't see that you did something different and you're just being the same, then I'm feeling like what I'm being is good. And
one of my favorite songs is by Fantasia, and it's called Teach Me. And it says, teach me how to love you. Show me I'm willing to learn. Yeah. It says, following every instruction, I'll be a scholar when we are done. And that's what I believe that marriage should be about, is to learn to be a student of your mate. Yes. And after it's all said and done, that you're a scholar. And it's a continuing education program. True. You're never going to fully understand that person, because as they evolve, then you're learning new things about them. Right. But if you say, listen, I'm signed up for this continuing education course for a lifetime, then you're going to be learning them. And it can be a fun journey. One thing that I love doing is learning new things. So I love when I see couples take it as a mission to learn each other and say, listen, this is a privilege to get to know you and to build you up and to support you in any way you need support, and to make it custom to that person. Because oftentimes we get into a relationship and we say, oh, I know what a woman needs. And you start doing for that woman like you did for the last woman. And she's like, I don't need this. Right. What are you doing? This is not even my love language. Right. Like, you over here serving me. What is your love language?
Quality time. Quality time. That's a big deal for me. And another thing, like you just said something that made me think. I remember one of the situations with my husband, we have different times as far as day and night, who goes to bed early, who stays up. I'm a night person. He has learned to become a night person with me, but that wasn't who he was. Yeah. One of the things he would do, and he still does sometimes, he gets up quiet, or he tries to get around the house without waking me up. Well, I sleep through everything. But apparently in his first marriage, she slept quietly where she could hear everything, because he would always say, I don't want to wake you up. And I would go, you're not going to wake me up.
He said, when I'm out, I'm out.
I'm in a coma. Right. You can turn the lights on if you want to.
You can move all the furniture out the house.
You can do whatever you want to. But I'm just saying, those were things that we had to talk about to I had to constantly remind him, babe, that really, and I still do sometimes, because he still will do it. He won't turn the lights on. And I'm like, you can't iron in the dark. But
I've been doing it for years.
I'm getting good at it. He touching the wrinkles. He like,
come on, brother.
He said, Stevie Wonder can do it, I can do it.
And I do say that. Yeah. I said, if Stevie can do it, I can do it.
And I'm like, it's not bothering me.
Oh, God.
But I'm going to tell you, and this, to add to her point, is that I told her years ago that if I'm from Russia and you're from China, and we're in Dallas, and you speak in Russian, I'm speaking Chinese, we got to learn how to speak Dallas language. Yeah. And that takes time.
Yes.
Because if I'm talking too fast or too slow in my native language, and we talking about English now, so I'm talking fast English, and you still ain't understanding what I'm saying.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
that's real.
So there's a lot of things that we had to really slow down and dial back, way back, not back in the past, but back within our own selves.
Yes.
To say, let me see what she's saying. Not like I heard it yesterday, but today. And then what I don't understand, ask.
Yes.
And then be okay in asking questions without fear and trepidation. Because you can ask questions in fear. I've done that.
Yeah, he did that for a while.
Me too, I've been there.
Because I want the answer, but I don't want the reaction from the answer.
Yes. Oh, that's good. This will bless a lot of men, and it should bless a lot of women. I want you to say that again. You wanted what?
I want to ask the question, hoping that the answer would be answered without fear or a backlash of what I think or how I think it should go.
Yeah.
And if it goes just the opposite way, now I got that situation I was asking plus one more.
There it is.
It's called a plus one.
Yeah.
So, and if you don't take care of the plus one, because now you haven't dealt with the one,
Then
now you got a plus
layers,
two.
It just layers and layers and
And
layers.
so,
And now you have a whole argument.
But listen, to avoid all of that, just don't ask the
Just
question.
don't ask the question, which is the path most men choose. They're like, I just don't want to talk. And you be like, what's going on? I'm good. Because they're so afraid to open up a can of whatever. You don't even know what it is. It's like going and open up a Cracker Jack box and you don't know what the prize is. And you hate to open it up and it's a whole gag gift, you know? And so where did that come from? What made you start realizing that was an issue that you had?
Well, again, people told me, are you sure you want to marry Titia?
I don't know why they asked you.
So, I listen.
Oh,
Terrence,
this
let me tell
goodness.
you, this is the day right here. I got to tell you about this day. Nobody knows about this day. She has one picture of this day. She showed me, I think, last night. Man, when I first came to her mother's house, I didn't know what was going to happen that day. So I go to the big family movie room, right? And all these people in here, Kurt Franklin and everybody in his house, right? I think, who are all these? I don't know these people. I knew Kurt from a tour, but I didn't know all these other people. And so I'm just here chilling, eating dinner. They feed me, it's all nice and bubbling. All of a sudden, it became Q&A moment.
He was on trial.
Y'all set him up like that?
Yeah.
Man.
Why y'all do that, man, like that?
Because I had not been with it. I wasn't getting married.
At what stage? What stage was this?
We had only been seeing each other maybe a few weeks.
Yeah, it was early.
Yeah, maybe.
It's like too early for me.
But the thing about it is, when my family knew that if I was bringing a man
Then it's
to
serious.
the house,
Then it's serious.
everybody's like, what time we need to be there? Like, everybody called and was like, what time do we need to be there? Like, it was like that. It was like an announcement.
It was at least 15 people in that room. And this is no lie.
You had no idea. You walking in here, they fatten you up, feeding you.
He was like, I'm about to come eat, fellowship.
But see, the thing about it was, Ma's house is a house where you come and you just have fun.
Yeah,
and food.
relax.
But I didn't know I was getting set up for the one to do.
You was the pig getting fattened for slaughter.
Because I'm like, I'm having the fun like everybody else. But they don't know. But I didn't know that it's going to come to a Q&A moment. And
who's the first person to fire off a question?
Kurt Franklin.
Yes.
I know he did that to his brother-in-law. Yeah, I was like, ooh, Lord, it got heated that day. We was at the karaoke thing, and he just started firing off questions. I was like, I was getting uncomfortable.
So it was quite an experience, for us. And those same people now, we love each other, to life.
They become your accountability partners.
Yeah, they're good people. But, we had to learn our language, our own language, not from yesterday, not from, with someone. Because I would tell her, you have a lot of things that you've dealt with that I can see and you expect from me. And I'll never be that person.
Yeah, that's good.
And I can only be the best me today. And tomorrow, hopefully I'll live and I'll do better.
That's good.
But that took a time for her to accept because the bar was extremely high. And I said, I'll be until my death reaching that goal. But I will die trying.
What did they say after that? After that encounter, that meeting, what did they say about him?
Well, everybody thought he was a nice guy. My mother, my grandfather's name is Maurice. He's going to be with the Lord, but my husband looks like my grandfather. So my mom just kept saying, he looks so much like my dad. Oh, my God.
Wow.
And then my other relatives were saying the same thing. They were like, he looks just like Maurice. That's my grandfather.
Dang.
And so
that's deep.
They thought he was kind. They thought he had a sweet spirit. And that was pretty much it. Kirk, of course, I'm not going to say the words he used, but he was a little more hesitant because he acts as my big brother. And so he was.
And y'all history go back
over 20
years. Yeah.
Yeah, so his thing was he knew what I had dealt with in my first marriage. He was there the whole time. He knew the 14-year period in between. So whoever this person is,
they better be the one.
Yeah, I'm really digging into it and looking into it. So, you know, he didn't have much to say at that point, but he was just making sure that it was known that he had his eyes on him and he was paying attention.
How important is that? How important is it for a woman to have a circle of influence?
It's very important. It's a covering because, again, the man that's coming into the woman's life, they do need to feel a sense of, I need to make sure my game is up.
Yes.
You know, you don't want to come into a situation where the man doesn't feel like there has to be some accountability, because he can treat you however he wants to.
With no consequences.
And if you don't have a strong nature about yourself or respect for yourself, then you can be easily influenced into getting into a situation that's not so good. So I definitely recommend there has to be a father figure, a brother, an uncle, a cousin, somebody that man has to be accountable to, because he needs to know that people are watching.
So, JWayne, you went through all this to win her heart. At what point did you know that this is the woman that you want to spend the rest of your life with? Because she already told you, ain't gonna be no take backs, none of that. When we get into this is for a lifetime.
This gonna sound crazy, right? But when I first saw her,
really,
I remember the day I first saw her. Mind you, I had been through some stuff, right? And I had just moved to Dallas. It seemed like there was nothing here in Dallas. So I was at.
When you say nothing, you talking about
female
prospects?
Yeah, it's like this is crazy, man. So I'm with Fred. We work in the studio, and you know, of course, she's a designer, and so she walks through the door, and I said, "Oh my God, she's the one." And I didn't even know her.
Didn't know nothing about her.
I looked her down from head to toe
and said, "She the one."
I said, "She fine."
And I want her.
And I want her.
That's so funny.
And that's the truth, man. I was done, man. It was a wrap.
How long did it take you to try to, approach her?
I approached her for 3 days, and she never saw not one.
Never paid him any attention whatsoever.
What was you saying to him?
Well, he was trying to assist me. Like, I was there working. So he would ask me, could he bring stuff to the car, things of that. But I'm thinking he's just helping, so I'm not paying him any attention. He said he had broken up with me 3 times.
On Facebook.
Before we had even spoken to each other. Like, before I even knew he liked me. He was like, I broke up with you 3 times.
Isn't that crazy?
So you just walk with blinders on?
Yes, because when I'm at work, I'm so focused. Like, I don't care who you have to be straight up in my face. And even when I got married to my husband, he would tell me that there were other people around me that he would see that was trying to move
get your
in.
attention.
But I didn't see
you
him.
See none of it.
No, he was like, "Babe, come on." And I was like, I'm so serious, but he knows that because that's how I was with him.
Right.
It's like when I'm in a zone, if I feel like people are helping me, that's what they're doing. They're helping me. He's like, no, they're not.
I'm trying to get gay. And I was scoring no points. 0.
So when did you grab him and be like, "Hey, listen, I like you"?
No, it wasn't him. It was his friend. Go ahead, tell it.
So in every basketball team, you got a point guard.
You got a point guard?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So my point guard kicked in.
Yeah.
said, which is Ray Hammond, Fred's brother.
Yeah.
So he actually, and I didn't know he called.
Mm-hmm. I didn't tell him.
He called, and Ray didn't tell me that he called.
I love
her.
Ray.
So Ray called her and said, "Hey, my boy trying to, holler at you. What's going on?"
And I'm like, "What boy?" He's like, "The guy that's been helping you every day." I said, "Okay, who is it?" And he was like, "John." I was like, "I don't know who John is."
He been sitting in your face the whole time. You didn't even know his name.
No, I didn't know. I had never asked him anything about himself. And he was talking to me, and I was trying to figure out, why is he talking to me? Like, I literally was saying that, why is he having a conversation with me? I'm trying to work. Like, literally. Because he started telling me some personal stuff about.
He's like, why is he telling me all this?
Yes, I was going, why is he telling me this? Like, or I'd be trying to figure out how to walk out of the room
Why you
without being
talking?
disrespectful.
Yeah.
Like, okay,
So when Ray finally made the call,
yes,
and then she said, I guess she kind of figured out, well, let me see who this guy is.
yes.
Right?
Well, Ray said he's going to bring you your check tonight.
Right.
Because they owed me a check. And he was like, he's going to bring you your check tonight. And I said, okay, well, I'll see him when he brings me the check. So he brought the check. And this is exactly what happened. He walked out to the car. I was in my car. And I rolled down the window. And it was night. So it was like 8 p.m. or something like that, because I remember it being dark and the street light was on. And he walked up to the car. And I went, he kind of fine. How did I miss him? That's exactly what I said. He kind of fine. How did I...
Drop the mic.
Blue. That is interesting how blind, or focused we can be.
I'm telling you, you just miss it, because I had never looked at him good enough to even see what he looked
Just
like.
seeing past him.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out, what was he doing? Like, why was he even trying to talk to me? Because when your mind says that you're not open,
Yes,
you can't see.
You can't see nothing.
You just can't see.
That'll preach. That'll preach.
That's true.
So you looked at him and said, he fine.
I said,
Then how did your mind shift from that moment?
Well, then he asked me, could he call me? And I said, well, here's my business card. And he was like, oh, she's so bougie.
I said, she going to give me a business card? It's 2013. We don't just give me your number.
Give me your number. Put it in the
Here's
phone.
my card.
Here's my card. Have your people call my
So we
people.
still business.
Because you're fine, but I don't know you like that.
I don't need no carpentry work. I'm good.
He says, I am not trying to have you work for and design my spot. I'm trying to get to know you. Only you. We're not going to play these games.
And so tell them how you stalked me on Facebook.
Yeah, so for these 3 days, man, I had to go. I went through the history of everybody, right? Because all the old pictures were still alive, right? So I kind of watched her history, and I kind of watched her, and I kind of fell in love with the pictures and the person, because, it's, if you have any type of discernment, you can kind of know
see.
by the eyes of a person. And so I was reading the eyes of her, each picture, right? And so that's what kind of drew me in to, whereas when I would fall in love, the next day I would break up because she would ignore me. So each day I would go home, fall in love, get up, break up.
Yeah, go to work and be like, I don't want to be with her no more. I don't want to be with her no more. Go back home. Man, she got on my nerves. Let me go look. Man, she's so beautiful. Oh, look at her with her kids. Oh, I guess China was about 12 at this time. Oh, my God, so precious. Oh, look at her son. That's so amazing. Okay, let's see. Oh, he's playing sports now. This is so great. Oh, that's going to be my family one day. Come there. Hey, how you doing, Titia? I don't want to be with her no more. Forget her.
That's exactly what
That's
happened.
pretty much the story.
Yeah.
That's real. And so y'all dated for how long before you said, here, will you marry me?
Well, we dated for not too long, because there was prerequisites for her to be with her. She was not going to be dating forever.
Yep, that's good.
And
That's good.
And the background of OCBF, they train their women that way.
They sure do.
Where it don't take a long time
for a man to make his decision.
Exactly. And thanks to Dr. Evans for that. But so I got in.
I love that about that. I just thought about that when you just said that. That is so true.
Yeah.
I didn't think that y'all was indoctrinated into that ideology.
Oh yes.
Okay, what did he say? What was that, a sermon series that he did, or what was that? Because I know you grew up in that church.
I did. Well, it was so many times through different sermons that he talked about just courting and, the man coming after the woman and the whole process of the relationship. So we heard the process over and over again over the years through different sermons, through different messages or conferences or what have you. So he would always say, a man knows what he wants. It doesn't take long for him to figure that out. And, again, when you come out of a marriage, you have learned these things that you are not going to do again. And prayerfully, you stick to those things.
Yes.
And so that was my commitment. It was like, as fine as he was, if he didn't meet these standards, these spiritual standards, and what I know to lead to a good thing, then I can't do it. So that was my stance on it. It wasn't, again, it wasn't about him personally. It was just, there's some right things I want to happen this time.
That's real.
And so that was my process. And I told him that early on. I'm not into dating. So
what was long in your opinion?
I don't think it was necessarily, I was thinking long. I just felt like you will know soon. I'm not hiding anything. I was an open book. Good. I shared what I did do, what I didn't do, what I don't like. I didn't hide anything.
That's good. Yeah.
So I didn't give him anything to have to question. It was like, he knew who I was.
Yeah, either gonna want me or you don't.
Yeah.
That's how
I
live.
I lied so much in my first marriage. I was pretending to be this amazing person that I didn't even know.
He said that I didn't even know.
Right. So he was always trying to figure out, who did I marry? Because I didn't even know who I was.
Yeah, that's good.
Where with him, I knew who I was. So I said, he is going to get an open book and he will make the decision. And I felt like I would know quickly, just like when I came up with that thought process that I had, I felt like he would too.
And so when I finally asked for her to be my wife, there's a process before that. I had to go to her father, and I had to go to Ma and Rev and the whole process. In my first marriage, I didn't do that.
But he wasn't, that was a request.
Yeah.
Like, that wasn't his thought process. Just so I want to make sure people know that. And this was why. I said, in my first marriage, I regretted that my first husband did not go to my father. He did not do that. And I felt burdened by that my entire marriage. My father never said anything to me about it, but I felt a inner burden.
Yes.
Because I wanted his blessing. And I told him instead of asked him. I didn't ask him, and he didn't ask him. And I could hear his he couldn't understand why he didn't get that privilege. And he never said it. Like I said, I just felt that for him. And I said, if I ever do this again. And that was one of the prayers I asked the Lord. I said, Father, I feel like I failed you in my first marriage. I'm praying that you give me an opportunity to bless you in a new marriage. Because I just knew I didn't do it good the first time.
So you knew he was going to propose to you, or did you say, hey, if you ever decide to propose to me, this is what you need to do?
That's exactly what I said. Whenever you decide that I'm your wife, I'm going to need you to talk to my father first. You will have to have a conversation with him and get his blessing. And
you went and talked to him.
Went and talked to him, and it goes deeper, because Pastor Evans is also part of this process.
Yes.
Sure is.
Yes.
And so I had to go talk to Pastor Evans, and that was totally out of my game. It's like,
I'm going to talk to the pastor?
Come on, really?
And he still had player on him too now. In the Lord, but don't play aside.
Yeah, because
Holy Ghost player.
You know.
I think Pastor Evans kind of knew too, though.
Yeah.
He was pretty sharp. Because after we talked and then asked for her, to be my wife, well, she hesitated. And then I think 2 weeks later she said, no, I can't do this. I can't do this. And so my world just dropped. And so we had to go see Pastor Evans. And then he said, well, son, if she's not ready, she's not ready. And waiting won't be that bad. But if she's to be your wife, she'd be your wife. And I was like, dude, really? And now mind you, I'm still kind of new in Dallas. So I don't know him like that. But, hindsight, I respect the game now because I understand why. So that's in 2014 of July. No, in May, because we had July date.
Mm-hmm. We were supposed to get married, and we cut that off. In
2014. So now we didn't break up. We just didn't get married.
Yeah, I was like, no, we're not ready.
Yeah. And so.
Was that after you had a conversation with Pastor Evans?
No, it was a process just during that whole time. Yeah. Pastor Evans was who I had gone and talked to let him know where my heart was. And he was like, confirm, you're not ready.
Yeah. And he brought me into the table and he said, you're not ready. Well, he said, I'm not ready.
Right.
I'm thinking, I am ready. You don't know me like that, bro.
Like you don't even know me.
And that's my back in the day feeling.
Yeah.
But he was right. I wasn't ready. And there were some more things that I had to process.
That's good.
And 6 months later, December 7th, 2014, we get married.
I was at y'all wedding and stuff.
Yes, you were, Lataria. Yes.
Yeah,
that wasn't a wedding. That was a production.
Yeah. Oh,
that I watched.
That you watched. You was like, oh,
I was
nice.
in it.
This is great. What's going on here? Oh, I'm an actor in it. Okay, play it on. What's my script? What is my script?
Because he was saying, I don't know any of these people in this wedding.
Because I had best men that I did not know. I said, my name's John, and you are who?
Jay. You said you had best men that you didn't know.
Did not know these people. Groomsmen.
Yeah, he meant groomsmen.
Yeah.
Tish, how you gonna put some groomsmen on that he don't know?
Well, it was because I knew all my girlfriends had to be in the wedding, so they had to have some men. So I was like, baby, I got the men. I got you hooked up.
And the crazy, the part was weird. It's like
Said, hey, my name is JWayne. Okay.
And you are?
What's your name? Oh, okay. What you do? Oh, nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. That's cool. Well, welcome to my wedding.
Basically,
I like to take long walks on the beach. My favorite meal is her mom's sweet potato pie.
Exactly.
I love that. And,
God.
I guess you just.
And I'll see you down there.
Yeah, I'll see you later. I'll see you at 3-7.
You're doing that so well.
It's like, who does that?
We do.
Teacher just say, this is what we're going to do. This is what we're going to do.
I had one responsibility, and that's to be there.
Just come. I got
Just
it all
make
figured
sure
out.
your hair is cut. You look nice.
That's it.
You can do that. And follow the script.
Follow the script. Because she had a script.
It's all produced.
She had a script. Yeah. Who officiated your wedding?
Dr. Tony Evans, and then Pastor Gibson did the communion and prayer.
Right.
I don't know why I cried when you walked down the aisle.
Because you saw how happy I was.
It was like, I was like, oh my God.
And they played Oceans. Yes. They played the Oceans worship song. Yes. So I think that also.
That's what it was. It was a worship moment. Yes. It was a worship experience. Yes. That's what it was. Because I'm triggered by worship. Mm-hmm. Like when I hear worship, it just takes me in. And that's what it was. And of course I knew who your ex fiance was and all that. And so I was just like, I love to see the journey. You know what I'm saying? I love to see people's journey.
Yes.
And then I love to see them get it right.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Because we can choose what we want to choose and we can make it work. But when you humbly submit to the process that God has you go through, then God says, I got you.
Right.
So for you to be able to say that God told you, take him seriously.
Yes.
And even though he wasn't refined at that point, that God knew the plans that he had for him.
Yes, he
and he
did.
said, if you just take him seriously, listen, this is a guy after my own heart. I know he's not what you want him to be right now, but he listens to me.
Yeah.
So let me just keep being the father to him as I keep fathering you,
Yes.
and then I'm going to bring y'all together.
That's
and
it.
that's exactly what happened.
That's it.
But oftentimes we abandon the process. The good thing about it is that you didn't sacrifice your standards.
Right.
You created standards and you said, this is what I want. And for any man willing to, he wants you, he goes, okay, now let me figure this out. Okay, let me talk to this person. Okay, prayer. Hey, Tisha, I know you're not answering the phone, but I just want to leave this prayer with you. Heavenly Father, you just start leveling up. You just be like, I gotta get her. You know what I'm saying?
Whatever. And prayer changes things.
Oh, it's you. You answered. Oh God, you're awesome.
No, you say there's
faithful.
a God somewhere.
There's a God somewhere.
There's a God
Oh, Jesus. Okay, now what should I say? I didn't
Like
think this part out.
Come on, man. Stop talking.
I didn't think this part out. I didn't think she was going to answer. Hi. Your voice sounds beautiful.
That's it.
You'd be like, oh, how you doing? How's China? I always got to go back to China. How's China? Like, boom.
Yes.
Just be nervous. But that's when you know you're in love.
Yes.
You know, and he didn't even know what it was at the time.
Right.
He just, because, you know, as men, we got to overcome this ego. You be like, because the first part is the pain. We respond to pain before we respond to love. And so from the pain standpoint, did she just reject me? Did she not know I am JWayne? You know what type of women I can get? You really, girl, I ain't got to just deal with you. There's some other chicks. They might not be in Dallas, but I got some in some other cities and some other states. Don't get it twisted. Don't you get it twisted. But dang, I miss her. I love her, man.
Yeah.
You know, and then so that part starts coming. And then when you have the beautiful things you said early on, JWayne, is that you had a conversation with yourself.
Yeah. That was good. And I'm gonna tell you also, because, you know, although again these pictures now,
Yeah.
so these Facebook pictures tell a story of who this person is.
Yeah.
And I know what I needed in my life. I needed that person who came with creativity, came with a thought process of how to and what if, and then it challenged me because I don't like to be challenged. I don't like to be challenged, but I needed to be challenged to where God wants me to be.
There it is.
And even today, she still challenges me, but now I know how to control it where it doesn't offend me.
Yeah.
But it helps me. Now I don't do it like quickly. I have to go through my moments.
Yeah, of course.
Like, okay,
Yeah.
you know, babe. or I may rephrase the same thing in my words, but she actually just said it.
He does that often.
Because it has to be my idea.
He does that often.
Yeah.
So what do you think about that?
Yeah. What do you think about that?
That's fine, babe.
And he was like, good. Made me feel good. Felt like I'm a problem solver here. Because you ain't finna just be running the household. I know you can run it, but
I got this.
I'm gonna push the buttons. You gonna tell me what the button to push, and I'm gonna push it. But just know it wouldn't got pushed had I not pushed this button.
That's true.
That's how men are.
Oh,
We just
boy.
be like, let us lead. So you said that early on that you wanted to submit.
Yes.
So at what point in the relationship was that a tug of war early on in the marriage, or when I say I do, I'm submitting?
Well, it kept being opportunities for me to practice. He didn't know what I was doing because in his mind, he felt like I was probably being selfish. Like, for instance, bills needed to be paid or different things needed to be taken care of. I could assist. I said no, not because I didn't want to, but because, again, I saw what happened in the first marriage. Mm-hmm. And I saw little things that caused my first husband to feel like he was losing his role. So I had to start saying, I'm a note taker. So I would write down different things that I did that I saw changes in him, where even though this was a new husband, my mindset was, but he's still a man. Yeah. So this is a man thing. So if I start assisting in these areas, I have a tendency to take them over. I have a tendency. He will think that I'm supposed to assist because by oneness, you are supposed to assist. And then even hearing other ministers say, you guys should do that together. But I would always hear the Holy Spirit say, but not you.
There it is.
You don't do that well. So you don't do anything, because if you get in it, you're going to take it over at some point because you're going to feel like they're not doing it the way you want it. You don't like how they're doing it. So I'm sure we've never had this conversation. This is probably even his first time hearing me say this, but there were particular things that I totally said, I'm not helping him. I can't help him right there. I can't do that. And then I'm sure in his first marriage, he was used to somebody doing that, doing that. But for me, my spirit is takeover.
That's good.
He knows this. He's even said,
I rebuke it in the name of
you know that you will get in a situation. Anybody's. It don't have to be my husband. It could be a party happening. Oh, come on. We need to turn the lights on. We need to get this party started. Like, why is the music I'm ready.
I be like, babe.
Right. That's just my mindset.
She go in there and just start somebody else's wedding.
Yeah.
Hey, I need y'all to hurry and get
Hey, why don't we have roses on the floor? She should have 5,000 roses.
I'm talking about Tisha, you supposed to be you're a guest.
Right.
Can you go sit down in the chair somewhere?
But that's that part of me that it's about getting it done and getting it done right. Not just getting it done. I want some goodness happening. So for me, the Lord would constantly say to me, no, don't you do it. Don't do it. Because I didn't understand the boundary yet. I hadn't figured that out. I'm still learning. I'm getting there because even he will see over time, I slowly can contribute a little bit more to this and that. But it's not that I didn't want to. My thought process was, but if I do some kind of way, I tend to make the person feel like they can't do it.
So answer this. What happens where we just don't have those conversations? Why is it that you just never said that instead of him probably feeling rejected in that moment? then you say, hey, listen, I know you probably feel like this because, again, he has a story, too, that he's accustomed to getting this from his ex-wife or doing whatever. Then he feels like you may be combative in that area instead of just saying, hey, listen, I really want to do this for you because I love you and support you, but I have a takeover spirit and I will do this.
I didn't ever feel led to have those conversations with him because I also felt like, too, those were areas, and I don't want to call them weak, but somewhat those were areas he needed to still grow in. So I felt like if you give a person an answer sometimes, they don't get to go through the experience. They don't get to understand the process of how they got there even, and the fact of his growing to leadership and him accepting his role. I feel like if I would have said that, then he would just always have that, I'm not doing it right. She's trying to make me be the man. You know what I'm saying? Or, you know what I mean? It's
would you have felt like that, Jay?
I don't think I would have felt like that. I'm going to tell you what I probably would have said. See, that's hindsight,
Yeah.
Right.
So I don't know, but I guess sometimes some things you do want to know, some you don't want to know.
Yeah.
And
no way your partner knows which one you want to know and don't want to know.
Yeah.
Right.
So, I probably would have had some resistance because of who I am.
Yeah.
And then knowing she had to take over spirit. So I probably would have read it all the wrong way.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
that's why the guy told you not to say it.
Yeah. Especially then, because it's taken a long time for her to accept her role in the marriage. And she's done well. I've done a lot of coaching with her.
Yes, he has.
Spiritually coaching, not so much changing the person.
Yes.
Because I tend to always try to deal with spiritual principle practices. That's my thing. If it's a principle, let it be spiritual, and let's practice it every single day.
That's good.
You can't go wrong with that.
That's good.
And so when we talk about spiritual principle practices. Let's try it this way, because we know what this way going to bring.
And he does that often.
That's good.
He does that often.
That's good.
And so we are practicing speaking the truth in love. And most couples don't do that.
No, they just hold it.
No, I don't hold it.
You just say it however it come out.
Yes, and
that's my flaw. So that's a part of my growth before I get married again, is to learn how to say stuff.
Yes.
Don't say it just because I'm very blunt.
Me too.
And so I just say it without even thinking, because I'll be like, my heart ain't trying to destroy you. I'm just telling you the truth.
Right.
Instead of saying, no, cover it in love. So that's the principle I'm walking in, to say you can tell somebody the truth without destroying them in the process. And so you had that problem.
I had it big time. But I can say about him, I will definitely admit that has been my benefit, is him being such a great coach for me, because he has definitely communicated in such a way that I receive it in love.
Yes.
And he is patient. I'm not as patient. I'm not as long-suffering. But his process and watching how he has done it, how he has been committed to the process with me, it has softened me. It has caused me to humble myself more in different situations, not be so quick to respond or react. I mean, in marriage, there are different things that come up that cause you still to go back.
Yep.
But for the most part, on a consistent basis, he is consistent. He is consistent in how he responds.
And then the second time around, what I didn't have the first time around was a mentor.
Yeah. I was about to ask about that.
Yeah.
I didn't have a spiritual mentor where I can really just be transparent and say, dude, this lady is absolutely out of her mind.
Yep. Yep.
And he can say, okay. So now, where do we go from here?
Right.
Because there's no exit but death.
Yeah.
And so having this,
that's good.
I'm telling you, man.
Where do we go from here? Because there's no exit but death. Not divorce.
No.
But to death do
That's
we
right.
part.
And that's the mentor, Pastor Bobby Gibson.
Yep. And we talk often.
Beast.
We talk often, but again, I didn't have that in my first marriage. So if a brother is trying to get married, you got to have a mentor. I don't care what nobody say. I was not an advocate of mentorship back in the past because I knew everything. You couldn't tell me nothing. Yeah. But now that I have a mentor, I can have a small problem. It could be so weak as water.
Yep.
I'm going to call and ask him for a solution, because if I do it it may not go right with her.
Yep.
Or whatever the situation may be. So having this mentor has helped me along with this process of, because remember, in order to coach, you have to want to, or be coachable.
Yep.
And so I'm coachable so I can coach.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So having a coach or a mentor in our marriage, and we've been to him several times when he said, you know, y'all crazy, both of y'all crazy. He said, y'all go see God and figure it out.
So Titia, people see you on social media, you're a clown.
Yeah.
Like you're a straight up clown.
By nature.
Exactly. And I look at people that are so comical, and I always say that, you know, I have a tendency to believe that behind the comical stuff, they had to be delivered from some deep pain.
Yes.
And so I would be remiss if I didn't touch on that. What am I accurate in saying that this new, and you've been like this for quite some time, but this is a new person. Like you just silly, you funny, you comical, you make up your own dictionary. You got these crazy vocabulary. You just crazy. Yeah, the Titionary. And so you're this beautiful woman, talented, but silly.
Yeah.
Just straight up silly. So what is this pain that birthed this person that says, I'm going to laugh?
Well, a lot of it had to do with my first marriage. You'll be one of the first ones to hear. I am writing a book about my first marriage. It's called, with my husband's support. Thank God.
Dope. Why you say yay real quick?
Because I've told her that she had a story anyway, and I still say there's another part of her that she's going to graduate from.
When writing that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've told her when I first met her.
He did.
Oh, you did? Way back then?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. It's taking you 7 years to take heat.
Well, not the book part.
Yeah.
The book part was in the process, but there's another Titia that eyes have not seen, ears that haven't heard yet.
And God showed that to you.
It's coming.
Yeah.
There it is.
Well, the first marriage caused a lot of pain, and the title of the book is How to Get Rid of a Man. And basically what it's saying is if you follow what I did in my first marriage, you're getting rid of a man also. So it was a lot of pain because I was very rebellious. I was young, immature, and did a lot of just off the top of my head responding, which was not good. Not having wise counsel all the time. Being left to myself with thoughts, and didn't have standards, didn't have a lot of people in my ear to give me godly direction through the process that was assisting in bettering the relationship. Now, I did get some assistance, but it was more of a demise conversation. So I'll say that pain in that process, because I told you earlier, my process was I needed quality time. But my marriage had turned into who can not love the other person the most. Became a competition of who could not love the other person. And so that was very painful, very, very painful. And so that's what I learned from. And when I talk about it, I still get emotional. And that's why it's taken so long to write, because it's still very painful. It's been hard to look at myself and all of the things that I practiced. I practiced a lot of wrong and hurt. And so my goal is for women to see themselves and run from that. Anything that looks like rebellion or lack of submission or being afraid to humble yourself or be vulnerable. Those were things I ran from. Where now I'm practicing those things. I'm practicing being honest and open and sharing and making sure my husband hears my heart and being receptive to his heart. And that's why I appreciate him so much, because he's patient, because I come still with all of those things. And he loves me anyway. And that's why I love him. It's because he hangs in there with me.
Do you know how powerful this book is going to be? You don't go through that many years of pain, the 14 years before meeting your promise, the 7 years of after he's speaking, this is what you're going to do. It's a lot of years of wisdom and knowledge and lived experience, and people are going to be set free and delivered from each page of the book.
Amen.
As they're flipping and reading it, God is going to be healing broken girls' hearts, because it's a lot of brokenness that we take into marriage. There's a lot of brokenness that we take into a boyfriend relationship or an engagement, and these things don't even materialize. I've talked to people like, I've been engaged 3 times, but I don't think we don't realize why. You know, why did you accept the proposal, and then why didn't it manifest itself? Like, well, we just wasn't ready. No, what does that really mean? And when you weren't ready, what was the work that needed to take place in you internally and in that mate, you know, and then for God, because like y'all both weren't ready, and then God said, I'm going to make y'all ready. But he made y'all ready with each other.
That's right.
Because he knew that his purpose had to be fulfilled in. See, we all have these individual purposes, and then we have this collective purpose. And so this is that collective purpose. And because he's undergirding your ministry and saying, listen, this is what God has destined for you to do. Now he's giving, you didn't have the wind beneath your wings before. And now he's undergirding that and said, baby, fly. Fly. I'm gonna give you the wind. I'm gonna let you fly. Fly. Amen. And that's when someone is not intimidated by his woman, somebody that's not trying to stifle your success. He's saying, baby, when I look at these pictures and I look into the eyes of this person, I want that. And I need this creativity. I need what you offer. And if I allow you to go to the grave without fulfilling the purpose that God showed me that you're supposed to accomplish, then I didn't do my work as a husband. That's good. I didn't do my work as a husband. Amen. When I started studying the etymology of husband, I learned that the word husband means householder. And so a husband is supposed to hold that house together. But oftentimes we have been deceived into thinking that the woman is supposed to hold the house together. What kind of foundation is that? You know, the men are the foundation. You're supposed to be he's supposed to be able to build up his household on him, on his back. And we have it all twisted and turned all upside down. So it's beautiful to see that you're saying, hey, listen, not once you say, my husband did this, he did this, I didn't like him, he talked to me crazy. You said, I had to look at myself. And it hurts me to see the type of woman that I was. But not only are you sitting there coming to this knowledge, you said, I'm going to do something about it. If you want to lose a man, follow what I did. You're going to find yourself right there with me. But if you want to have your purpose partner.
Amen.
You know, as a football coach, track coach, you know, we train our athletes to do things
our way.
Yeah. Well, female, bro, don't do that. It would never happen, because now you've taken God out of the whole equation.
Yes.
And so now you won't get the best of her. You'll get what's left of her. So I want the best.
Stop. You said you won't get the best of her. You'll get what's left of her.
Yeah, what's left of her. And so, and what God has for you from her, bro, it's
10 times more you can ever imagine.
Can't even imagine. You can't even imagine. I mean, I'm talking about in all areas of life. Come on, somebody.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I felt you right there. You didn't have to say it, but I felt it. So, yeah.
So
I felt a release in that atmosphere. Come on, well.
Listen, you got to be a good steward, brother. You got to be a good steward. You got to be a good steward, brother.
That's real. Yeah. That is so real. And that's what I feel like is lacking in marriages. Do y'all ever talk about y'all's marriages? Like, do y'all ever talk to people and couples and stuff like that?
Oh,
yes.
Man.
Our house has kind of turned into a little session, safe place.
Yeah.
But that's what we create as a safe space. They know that whatever is said is there. It's said, but we're going to deal with the truth. We're not, because we talk very openly about so we have to be real with.
Because I was about to say, y'all need to do that. Y'all need to do some premarital classes and all that. I think y'all be amazing coaches for premarital, because that's just because y'all real like this. That's why I said the power in the second time around is that you not, because every time y'all say something, y'all go back and say, this is what I learned.
Yes.
This is what I learned. Yes. This is what I learned. Thank y'all so much for joining the podcast today. Are y'all active on social media?
Yes.
All right. So what's the best place for people to reach you?
Hold on.
She said.
You You asked that question as if.
So do I need to share the social media?
Yeah, the social media handles.
Okay.
Do you communicate with them on Instagram and Facebook and all that stuff?
Yes, on Facebook, I'm Titia Owens. That's Titia Owens. And then
I'm gonna put it on the screen.
Okay, and then on Instagram, you can follow me at Titia Owens, Titia Owens.
I said I was gonna put it on the screen.
Yeah, and then you can follow me on Twitter at Simply Titia. That's SIMPLYTITIA. And so, yeah, you can follow
Titia,
me.
you didn't have to keep spelling it. I keep saying I'm gonna put it on the screen.
Okay. And so then my husband has social media, honey. Do you want to share those? You want me to share those?
I think you can do it.
Okay. So my husband, he is on Instagram at JWayne Owens. JWayne is how it's spelled. JWayne Owens. And then he also has his media production, Owens Media Productions LLC. You can follow that on Instagram. And then on Facebook, there's JWayne Owens, JWayne Owens, and then Fortified Leaders. You can follow that also on Facebook. Fortified Leaders. You can follow those platforms and stay connected with us and find out more. Oh, I forgot to tell this one. We have a couples page. It's called JT The Love Story.
That's good.
JT The Love Story. So you can follow more about our personal life on that.
Y'all need to get a YouTube channel. Have y'all got a YouTube channel?
No.
Get a YouTube channel since he does video. Get a YouTube channel so y'all can start recording these relationship talks, and y'all can have your own podcast and all that stuff. Because I'm telling y'all are a wealth of knowledge, and I just love, like, y'all are, they say opposites attract. It's like y'all are opposites, but then y'all are so similar. It's like this. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing that God did here. And so y'all, I want to encourage y'all to do podcasts, do videos, do something, and just talk to the community, because I think y'all have a wealth of information.
Did he have a word for us, honey? Did he have a word for us? Was that a word?
That was a word.
Producer. You want to produce the show, but go ahead.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
There it is. He said, produce the show. Armani, you got another job. But yeah, y'all are great. Thank y'all so much. I enjoyed having y'all. And y'all give it up for the Owens on the Dear Future Wifey podcast. Let me tell you, I really enjoyed talking to Titia and JWayne. Before they left, they felt led to pray for me and cover me on this journey, and I really appreciate them for taking the time out to hear the voice of God. I believe that the greatest thing that you can share with an individual is the gift of prayer. So I don't take that lightly. Dear Future Wifey, for those of us who are not in relationships, the holidays seem to serve as a chilly reminder of our singleness. The cold winter months cause me to yearn for the warmth of your heart. I look forward to the moments we'll share bundled together and you jokingly irritating me with your cold feet against my legs after I've accomplished regulating my body to the right temperature under our 1,000 thread count sateen sheets. There's nothing like your company. Whether we're sitting in absolute silence, working on our laptops, or laughing and joking around, or intimately singing worship songs to our Heavenly Father with tears streaming down our cheeks, your presence is the greatest present. Your calm spirit is so soothing in a world of chaos. Baby, be patient. I believe this may be the last Christmas we'll spend without each other. Your future hubby.
Thank you for listening to the Dear Future Wifey podcast. Remember, be lit, live intentionally and transparently, and don't stop loving. Make sure to subscribe to our Dear Future Wifey YouTube channel. We're available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and Stitcher. We welcome your support. Simply share our podcast with your friends and family.